Good evening and welcome to the May edition of Church Plant Broadcast. Tonight we've got a real treat for you because not only do we have one, but we've got two special guests. We have the lovely Tim Simmons from Manchester, who will be interviewing David Holey from Dresden in Germany. So we are going international as well. Very exciting. I've not had the privilege of meeting David before, so we are particularly looking forward to hearing his story and finding out some of the lessons that he's learned along the way in terms of church planting in a different culture. So as usual, you can ask questions. It will be our turn to be the interviewers at the end for the last half, and you can either use the Q&A app and message your questions in, or you can tweet at BroadcastCP. So that's tweet at BroadcastCP, anything that you want us to ask either Tim or David. So for now, this is very exciting. We're going to hand over to you guys to take the lead, and we'll sit back and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Well, David, it's good to see you. I guess I've got a few questions. Just kind of so people can understand a little bit about who you are and what you're doing, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about how we, when we plant a church, how we go from no people to some people. So I've picked an arbitrary number of how you go from no people to 40 people, but really how you get that initial little bit of movement. And I've got some questions, and we can talk about it a little bit. And see how we get on. So, David, why don't you, first of all, tell us a little bit about who you are, kind of what your history is, I guess how you came to be planting a church.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. I'm David from Dresden in Germany, the east part of Germany, and I'm married to a wonderful wife. Her name is Yeshi, and I'm a youth pastor in Cornerstone Church, and actually I didn't want to be a pastor because my dad was a pastor, so I was sawing all that stuff which was going on there, and I thought I gonna be a good teacher. But then I was in America after school, and God really talked to me and said that He wants me to be a pastor. So when I came back, I studied theology and started working in the church. Then last year, in the beginning of last year, God really put on my heart this vision about a church in Dresden with young people and students, which is modern, which is authentic, and which is really a place where people can come, where people can also bring guests without being afraid that they hear something horrible stuff, and that they can be just feeling home, and they just have a place where they can say, this is kind of my family. Yeah.
So, so you've kind of told us a bit of your history and why you're planting. Tell us a little bit about what Dresden is like. I mean, your own kind of family background in Dresden tells a little bit of the story of what it's like even now, doesn't it? So tell us what Dresden is like.
Yeah, I would say Dresden is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's just amazing.
You've not been to Manchester yet, have you? You've not been to Manchester. You can't make statements like that without having been to Manchester.
No, it is really. And I was born in Dresden, but I never lived there. But we planted this church, and it's a wonderful city with an amazing potential. They're living wonderful people. They are really specific. So they are not like, I would say, they are not mainstream. They are more like, if you say in Germany, okay, you're from Dresden, the people know what the people are like a little bit, you know. So the good thing is we have a wonderful university, and we have around over 50,000 students in universities, and it's really amazing. Like this part of the city where we are building the church. It's called Neustadt, so new city. There are living a lot of young adults, and it's a wonderful place to build a church. There are a lot of bars and restaurants, parks, and it's really, really good. It's a good nightlife where you can just hang out with people and just a fellowship with them. And yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing city. Oh my God, and my heart just falls more and more in love with the city. So if you wanted to if you wanted to visit Germany, then go to Dresden.
It is a beautiful city. I mean, it's a fascinating place actually because it's just covered in history.
Yeah.
And some pretty old, obviously old history, but some quite recent history, like ex-communist history as well, which the people of Dresden seem to have kind of taken hold of and given it new life in a funny way. So it seems like it looks very old, but actually seems to have quite a youthful heart to it as a city. Yeah. So do you think that would be fair?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah.
So in terms of the kind of the people there, are there many Christians? Are there lots of thriving churches in Dresden?
Mm-hmm. The thing is, not only in Dresden, it's in the whole east part of Germany. There are actually, if you look at the statistics, they're around 0.9 to 1% of believers in that part of Germany. Also in Dresden and around. So there are not many believers. We have a lot of people there going in Catholic churches or Protestant churches, but they are actually dying more and more because they just miss to invest in this new generation which is growing up, and they now see the results out of it. That is that they are like getting more and more less people. So it's not an easy place, I would say, to build a church. But I also learned that if the harvest seems sometimes pretty hard, then it's a good place where God can do big miracles. So yeah. So it's a fun place.
So you talked about wanting to get young people and students. How did you? Why was that your starting place? What made you think about doing it that way?
I think every church should invest in students from university because they just have so much energy, and when they want to go when they go in a new city, they just want to be part of something, and so. If you can get them to the point that they can that they get part of your church, it's so good because they have a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, and they are spontaneous, they are flexible, so and they really want to do something, and what we recognize is also like if you work with students, it's so much easier to bring friends because it's just a going thing, like we have every Sunday we have new people. We didn't have any Sunday where there were no new people because they just bring their friends, and this is what I really like. So it's not like too conservative or too structured, or it's not a tradition. It's really flexible. It's full of life. Of course, sometimes it's also how can I say it? Yeah, it's sometimes really crazy, and you have to be careful that you can go on with these things what the students are living for and what they're thinking of. So, but it's good. Yeah.
No, very good. Now, we found a similar thing in Manchester. Our desire was exactly the same as you, to go after the young people. And actually, Colin Barron was at the front of church on Sunday talking about how there are three kind of, We've like a bunch of guys and girls that have come through. Two of them are leading sites now in CCM. One of them is leading a site for a church in Sidcup. And actually, I was talking to another one who moved to Japan at the beginning of this year, and he's now leading a site of a church in Sapporo in the north of Japan. But for the exact same reason you talked about, just lots of energy, lots of desire to do new things, lots of desire to go church planting. So it does feel like you get them, and then you have to let them go, and then sometimes deal with the craziness afterwards. So that's very good. So it's interesting. It sounds like you've got some momentum and energy there in Dresden. Take us back a little bit to the beginning of the church plant. How did you get your first group of people? Because the first time I came out to visit you in Dresden, there was you and Yeshi and maybe one or two other people you thought might join you. I mean, it was about 4 or 5 people in total, wasn't it? So how did you get your first kind of little group? How did you gather people?
I would say there are two key things. The first key thing is you need to be brave and courageous. If you want to build a church and you just want to sit in your living room and just don't want to move, then you're not building a church. You need to be brave and courageous. So my wife and me, we're that kind of person which just jump into the cold water and we're just doing it. Maybe we are not thinking everything through, but we're learning a lot on that way. So I would say just be courageous, take courageous steps, and take also sometimes risk. You know, we had few weeks or also months where we didn't knew where we're gonna meet, so we had no location, and it's not so easy to get a location in Dresden. So yeah, it's that point where you just need to be brave. You have also to really learn to trust God, and the other thing is really a key to make your church growing is building relationship. Especially, I would say, with students from university, if you're not willing to build relationship, these guys gonna go, because they are not looking for the pastor, which is there up at the stage and I was talking about some holy stuff. They are looking for friends, and they are looking for mentors. You know, so first of all, you need to build a relationship. You need to open your heart by yourself. You know, that's sometimes not easy, but then if they see, okay, you share your heart with them, they're gonna open also their heart, and so this is the first step, and then you build a relationship. Out of a relationship, friendship gonna start. So it's first of all, you really need to invest time. Like I would say I was never so much like in the last 6 or 7 months. I never been so much in restaurants and bars like these last months. Because I was just there hanging out with people, talking with them. So what's in your heart? What's going on in your life? What is your vision? What is your call from God for your life? And all these kinds of things. And it's really good. It's really good. I just love it because in the past I had more like these organization meetings and these structure meetings, and I just missed it at all to build a relationship. And this is the first thing you really have to do. If you miss that thing, you will come to a point where you just stand alone, and you just really get frustrated. So also this team, what we build it up, these are not just team members, these are friends of us. So this is because we started in the beginning to build a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really interesting. One of the things in our early years that I realized when you plant a church, actually the people that join the church at the beginning, so that first kind of group, actually they're not really looking for a church leader, are they? They're looking for friends. Yeah. And actually you realize you're absolutely right. Most of your time is relationship stuff. Sometimes they're not even looking for Bible study and worship and all of those things. They actually just want that friendship group to start with, and that's you have to do all of that first in order to earn the right to be able to, like you say, to take it to that next level. That's really interesting. So it sounds like you gathered your first really group by just spending time in coffee shops and finding people and just networking contacts. Would that be fair?
Yeah, we before we had the first meetings, like, or the first services, we just had, I think, let me think, I think 4 months of relationship time, I would say. So every 2 weeks we made a kind of event where we just invite people, where we invited friends.
Were these all Christians, or were they non-Christian friends as well?
We had like barbecues at Dresden. There's a river. It's called Elbe. So we made there a barbecue, just invite people, or we went in a park, just played soccer or made some music, and invited also these people which were there around. So it's wonderful when you like outdoors, so you just can make new contacts, you know.
So when you were doing all of that as well, I know that you said a minute ago you were looking for a venue. So did you try and do a Sunday meeting very quickly as well, or did you hold off? What was your thinking behind that?
First of all, we I say, like I said, what we did is we had like relationship time, I think about 5 or 6 months, where we just getting new contacts and building up relationships. Then we had like 3, we called them vision nights. When we found then a venue, a location. So we did 3 vision nights. This was first of all for us to see how long does it take to set up all these technical stuff, because we have to set up this the whole PA and also bring it back then. And so these were 3 vision nights, and we took this also as a chance where we invited people, and we shared the vision which we have with Lighthouse. Lighthouse is the name of that site or church. We built it. And then when the new semester in last year in October started, so then we had our grand opening. And until then we have it every Sunday. But it was that point where we said, okay, there we really want to start. And until then we really want to do it every week. We thought about doing, are we doing it like first of all every 2 weeks, or just once in a month, or, but we said like if we really want that thing going, and we want to see this church growing, then we need to do it every week, you know. And that's also the thing, if you want to do it, it costs you something. So this is one of the costs. You really have to invest time, but it's worth it.
Yeah. So I found in Manchester, for me, that we're on our second kind of church plant that we're leading in Manchester. And the first one, there was a point where a few people joined and kind of became part of the community. And at that point, I knew that we would be fine. Up until then, I didn't know if we'd last to the end of the week, whether it was going to work or anything like that. But it just took a couple of people to join, and then you knew that you had momentum. It didn't mean it was kind of hundreds and hundreds. Just that few people maybe think, actually, you know what? We're going to get more people. People are going to get saved. People will join us. It just takes that kind of that first bit of momentum.
Yeah.
So when did you sense that kind of moment of, oh, actually, this is going to work. This will be okay. We're going to get somewhere.
Ask the question again. I didn't really get it.
So when did you think, okay, we've got momentum now. People are going to join. With this church plant is going to work.
I would say actually when we had the grand opening, also the first really service, because it was crazy. We invited people, like at the grand opening, it was like, I think there were 55 people there. So this was really insane. I was like, when we are at the end, I was just really kneeling down with my wife, and we were just praying. We were thankful. But the funny thing was, God asked me in the same minute, like, but what is if next Sunday there are just 10 people, you know? And I said, okay, God, if there are just 10 people, I'll be still thankful. And actually, at the next Sunday there were 10 people, so it was a bit funny. But I knew that it's gonna work, you know, because when we had the current opening, there were over 50 people, and I was sort of like, wow. So there are people which are really interested in, and which are really looking for that kind of church, you know, which we want to build. So it was really good for us. And of course, it took a while where you can say that there was a kind of core, you know, like core people which are always coming. So these core people, I would say, they are now 20, and it took about 4 to 5 months that this core people are growth, you know. But yeah, especially if you work with students, I would say it's you really need to know that sometimes there are like just 20 people, but sometimes there's also a Sunday where there are like 40 people, you know, they're just coming. So, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is. And so, how are you maintaining that momentum? What do you do to kind of when these new people turn up, or you make new contacts, or people bring their friends? What do you do to try and engage with them and bring them into your community?
First of all, what my wife and me are really trying to live is that when there are new people, that really go and talk with them. You know, that they are gonna meet us. You know, as leaders. And then we gonna share our contacts, you know, our cell phone numbers and emails. We have kind of mailing list. Like I just have it here, for example, on my desk. So it's kind of mailing list where they can write their emails down. And then what we just started this month are small groups. Small groups are a wonderful tool just to get people involved and also get people into that church. And what I do is also I don't have time to meet with everybody, but what I do is as a leader, I really want to invest my time into people which I gonna see as some new leaders in the future, which are people which are able to multiplicate again, you know. So I take a lot of time to meet with these guys because I know they can be new leaders, and they are also then invest in more other people. So it's kind of circle which is it's going on and on. And so I think this helps also to get the people involved and to see that that there are people in that church which really are interested in that, you know. So I think this is like the first step, you know, where like when you meet new people in church, just listen to them and ask questions. So this is really important. Just don't stay there and then talk half an hour about you. You know, just listen to them and ask questions. You know, because then the people feel like, wow, okay, there's really somebody which really wants to listen to me and which is really interested in my life.
Very good. I think we've got time for one last question, and I like asking this question of church planters, mainly because I know what happened to me, and I'm curious as to how planting a church. I mean, you're probably about a year into this church plant, how planting the church has affected you, your kind of relationship with God, you as a person. I think the most dramatic change that happened in us planting a church was the effect it had on me. Actually, I mean, grew me up massively in loads of different ways. And so I'm curious, and David, how did planting in Dresden, how has it affected who you are, your relationship with God's, just you as a person?
It's really crazy. because I would say I never saw God working so much in my life since we started Lighthouse. Um, it's just amazing. I got prophetic words, for example, like 5, 6 years or even 7 years ago, which are coming now into reality. So it's it's really good. And I mean, I'm growing also so much in my relationship with God. I really learned to come to the point where I meet with God and where I just kneel down and I just pray. It's not, it's not that these kinds of prayers where you just do before you eat or something like that. It's really like it's like I don't know, it's a war prayer or something like that. I have no idea how to explain it in English. Like you be there in front of God and you really talk with Him, and it helps me also a lot to find more and more my own identity, as a leader, you know. What are my gifts which really God would gave me, and what are my strengths? Where am I good in, and where am I not? And yeah, it's amazing. We're like in a like my wife and me, we're in a really good process. Sometimes it's hard, but it's like God is taking that foundation where we stood on. We just shake on it, and He just puts us on a new place, on a wider place, and it showed us more and more what He has prepared for us. So it's really good. It really affected my relationship with God in an amazing way.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Hannah, do you want to chime back in?
Absolutely. What an exciting story to hear, just a little bit of your last year. We've got quite a few questions coming in, so if
Sure.
we just go straight into it, I'll just read the question and you can answer it. So we've got this one came in first. Oh gosh, more coming in. Fantastic. How did you manage your time? It sounds like you were very busy.
Oh yeah. Um, that's a really good question. It's a good point. Actually, right now, what I really need to do is really get more structure into my timeline. Um, it's definitely a danger when you're planning a church. You can work for, I don't know, 60 hours a week. So, but yeah, what I really try is like to get early to bed actually. But sometimes not so easy, so that I can wake up earlier and have just my time with God. I want to do this in the morning because I think it's just better. And then I just really talked to a few people, which are my friends, and I told them, please look after me that I'm not doing too much. So I gave them mandates. So if they say I'm doing too much, they can say, hey, David, come on. Right now it's just crazy. Just step back a little bit. And what I'm also doing is to yeah, get more structure in my timeline. Is I really a lot of things so where I'm in and where I'm working with people. So I really wrote all these things down, and I looked what are really the priorities, and I start canceling a few things so that I have more time for building the church in Dresden, because this is right now my main priority. But this thing's is gonna growing, yeah.
Okay, and the question that's linked to that then, in terms of managing time, has been how have you financed kind of getting things going? Have you had to work as well as part of church planting, or have you been supported by another church? Because obviously that has a massive impact on your capacity and your use of time.
Yeah. So what we did is we're still linked in our main church, Cornerstone Church. So uh, they paying the rent for the location. So the rent is about it's really good. We're paying right now around 50 euro for that evening. Um, but what I also did is that I started really early to build up a culture where I trained the people in Lighthouse that they gonna invest finances into the kingdom of God. A lot of people came to me and said, how can you do that? Isn't that too early? People just let just the people gonna come, but I think it's never too early to build up a culture actually where people say, I want to give freely and with a joyful heart, and I want to invest money into that kind of church. And yeah, it's really good. You see more and more people really investing also money into that church, and so this is really good. So just start really early to build up such a kind of culture, and then you don't need to worry about finances.
Okay. This question's come on in from Rory. Hi, Rory. What the networking at the beginning in the relationships you were building, was that mainly with Christians or non-Christians?
It was both. So let me think. I would say it was like 40% non-Christians and 60% Christians. So our main like the thing is our main goal is we doesn't want to uh, get Christians which are disappointed with their churches into our church. We really want to reach out to people which doesn't know God, and we want to see their lives changed. So you, I think you need to look that there's a kind of balance. Of course, when you start with such a project, there are first of all going to come people which believe in God. So and you need to look then what are the people maybe you can invest your time in. What could be leaders in that church, and so it's a fun moment. You really need to have uh, a godly view and to see which are the people for the future. And but it's important that you always go forward. That you also tell your people we really want to reach out to people which doesn't know God. So and we have still like in our service I would say 30% of the people which are coming they are non-Christians.
Okay, and we've got a question that follows on from then the people that you first networked with. Out of the people that you built relationship with in the early days, what percentage ended up joining the church and what percentage didn't? How do you deal with the times when people you've invested a lot of time into end up not wanting to be involved? So we've got the question about the percentage of people that stayed with you, and also then how you handled the once you've invested people then leaving.
Mm-hmm. Um, it's funny. I would say like from these people in the beginning where we just had these networking time. At the end, there were like 10 to 15% which were actually coming to the church, and there were a few people where I started to invest time in, and then I recognized no, this doesn't work, you know. Um, but the good thing is that really often over these contacts we got new contacts to their friends, and actually um, three friends of people which were there in the networking time. They are now part of our leadership team. So sometimes it's funny. It's like you need this one friend which brings this other friend, and this other friend is actually that guy which you need for the church.
Yeah.
I was just going to add on that. I was going to actually add about on the finance question. It's worth saying that David's wife Yeshi she works full time as well. She has a full time job too, doesn't she? So she's helping you to plant a church in her spare time as well as you. So it's helpful to know when you're. So when I know that similar for Rob and Hannah as well in Swansea. Actually, sometimes the financial kind of necessity is based on the whole family, not just on the one person, and that's what makes it possible actually. So us planting in Manchester, we couldn't have done it if Vicky, my wife, hadn't been working as a nurse, and it's probably the same for you in Dresden as well, isn't it? Having Yeshi working hard as well. Important to say that, I think.
Yeah, of course. It's both. You, as a couple, you are a team. You're not just one-on-one. You're a team. We have to work as a team perfectly together.
That's very helpful, just to bring a bit of clarity there. In terms of, we're going back to in terms of people that joined you that were Christians and people that weren't Christians. Of asking, someone else is asking another very specific question, which is, of the 50 people that you kind of got, the core that you now have, how many people have been saved and added from that? Someone's just trying to understand kind of how you started. How many were added new Christians?
Until now, we didn't had we didn't saw people got saved like from these kinds of people which doesn't know God. We're still building up relationships. I think we are right now in a time in our church where we build up the people which are coming from Christian backgrounds, which are actually never really understood grace or what it means to have a fully alive relationship with God. So we had a few, or we had actually, just can tell you that story. We have a really good guy in Lighthouse, and he's coming more from the Protestant background, and he was talking a lot about things which was going on in his life, sin and all this stuff. He already knew God, but he was actually not living in that really fully life relationship with God. So we really came to a point where he told me his sins and stuff like that, and we ended up that we baptized him in his bathing tube in his home, and we just prayed for him, and he just got changed like totally around. So this is just amazing what was happening there. So this was actually not in the service. It was at his home, in his bathing tube. But it was amazing. So this is what we see right now more and more. And we have also a lot of people which doesn't know God, and they really are so interested. For example, my wife, she's building up right now a relationship with a girl. She's not coming so much to the services, but my wife is now mentoring her, and they are reading together Bible, and she has a lot of questions, but she isn't yet a believer, but she's reading the Bible, and she's really interested, and she asks really good questions, where my wife really is really happy with, and so this is really good.
Very exciting stuff. And that feeds into another question that we've had about evangelism, which is, can you just tell us kind of practically what does outreach and evangelism look like? I imagine a huge part of that is drinking coffee and playing soccer, as you called it, in the park, and socializing. But have you got any other initiatives that you've done, or like run an alpha, or is there anything? Yeah, what does that look like for your church?
So what we are doing, like often when I talk with people about the good stuff, they are like saying, okay, you need to go out at the street yelling some Bible verses and doing some dramas and playing music, but we really start we don't want to do that because especially in Dresden we have more and more really crazy groups of people which are doing that, and the people are just sick of it, you know. So what we really trying to do is building up a relationship where where we want to encourage the people to invest in their friendships, in their part of town. So investing the time to build a relationship with the neighbor, or with the barber, or with the woman at the supermarket, or something like that. So this is really the culture which we want to see growing more and more, that these guys invite the people to come. And what we are also trying now is to link also these people which doesn't know God into just small groups, so that they just can see, like the Christians are normal, because often these people, they're just such an weird view on Christian. They think they are like really old-fashioned, but then if they just meet you, they're just like standing with a open mouth in front of you. Like, this is what I recognize a lot, because when I got to talk with people and I say, yeah, I'm a pastor, and they're like, what? He doesn't look like a pastor, and yeah, but I don't want to also look like a pastor. So this is a lot of fun. So I would say just build up this kind of culture, and then, like you see, I'm talking a lot about building up culture, but I think this is really important if you want to build a church for a long time.
Yeah, that's fab. We have a phrase here in Swansea, which I think I've mentioned before, which is do what you love and change the world while you do it, which I just think is so brilliant in terms of being you, being the church wherever you are, and reaching people. Right, we've got a slight change of tack with the questions here. We've got one about the meetings. What is your meeting like, and the content, and how much of the preaching do you do?
The series are actually, like, I would say, pretty regular. One of our strengths is worship or music. We have some awesome musicians, and this is really a thing which also let people really let people come to the church, because they're like, this music is amazing, and it's sometimes it's really funny when you stay there and you're leading worship and you see these guys which are actually not knowing God, but they're also staying there and raising up hands and singing these songs. It's a lot of fun. So we are really good in music, so we have a really good worship time. Like, I would say it's one of the intense worship times I ever saw in the church. It's really good. Then what we do is we have a sermon. So what I do, I invite a few guest speakers. I preach a lot, and I also building up a few people from my team, which have the gift of preaching. And yeah, then the sermon goes about 20 to 30 minutes. Then we have maybe a song at the end. That's pretty much it. So the service goes about 1 hour 15 minutes, and we said we want to do that short, because we have afterwards we have like 1 hour or 1.5 hours. We have just time to meet with these people and talk with these people. So this is really important for us, and and we really try to sometimes with these kinds of services where you have like 20 minutes announcements in the beginning or something like that. So we were really trying to put these out of the services. Most of this stuff goes about Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever.
Fab. Another question we've had come in has been about the leadership team, because you've talked obviously about yourself and your wife. What's that look like? If you've got a lot of students, what does the leadership team look like, and how have you developed that?
The good thing is we actually didn't thought so much in the beginning about leadership team. We just started. Of course, we prayed, hey God, just send us a few people which are also going along with this vision, which are gonna join us and which also want to invest time, and actually got just centered as people. This is how we experienced that, and a few people we said, okay, I think this doesn't work, but most of the people got just centered to us, and we're building up a leadership team. We are now around 11 or 12 people. So my goal is now to build out of these 11 to 12 people a core team of 3 to 4, which are gonna work really close together, you know. And yeah, but we just prayed, and we just trusted God that He's gonna send us the people. But the thing is, for us as leaders, I think you really need to train a specific few for people where you can see a leadership potential, you know, because sometimes there's just a short time door, you know, and if you miss that, then that's it, you know. Then they're going to a different church, or they leave, you know. So sometimes it's a bit fun, but first of all, just trust God. He will send the people.
Okay, so it sounds like it's still fairly early days on the leadership front for you. That's something we can pray about for definite. We've got another question in that's been tweeted to @BroadcastCP. You can there's still time if you want to tweet a question. How do you deal with people who express their lack of vision or disappointment with no change or growth, etc.?
Okay, so if I got it right, like if there are people which doesn't or can't go along with the vision we have, so how we deal with these people, is that right? Yeah. Okay. I learned really to be sometimes a bit hard, actually. We as leaders bring in the vision, and if the people can't go along with the vision, then they have to leave. And this sounds hard, but if you want to have a healthy church and a team which really stood behind you and which are really going forward with you, then you have to be like that. Because I think vision is so important. Like there's so many few churches, you know, you can ask people in the church, hey, what is the vision of your church? And they're like, actually, I don't know. So sometimes, yeah, I had this a few times, you know, where I said, you know, this is the vision of our church, and really think about it. Is this the place? If you just think in your heart, okay, I can't go along with vision, then this is not the church, and we are not the leaders. And I learned to do this right at the beginning sometimes. Either it's a few months ago in, you know, and then maybe these guys are coming into your leadership team. But once you have them in, it's really hard to get them out if there's some trouble, you know. So just this is also a thing where you need to be courageous. Just speak clearly about your vision and clearly about what you want to do, you know. And just don't be afraid that these guys get disappointed, because I recognize these times where I had conversations like that. Most of the people were thankful that I'm that clear, you know.
We found in Manchester, it's an interesting question about how kind of people in the group feel if your church is not maybe growing as much, especially in those early days. And so we often talk about kind of lowering the bar, the success bar, so it makes it look like you win easier. So for us, I mean, we're planting again in Didsbury, and one of our big success bars in my head is that actually we have fun together. And I remember when we started, somebody telling me that this group, your core group, they need to understand the cost of church planting.
Yeah.
And I said to him, actually, you know what? If I told them the cost of church planting, they'd all leave. And so what I'm going to do is this is going to be fun. And actually, that's an easier thing for people to join anyway. So I mean, when we planted in our first one in Fallowfield in Manchester, I remember there was a guy often who would say to me, "We're not growing, Tim. There's no new people this week. Why aren't there any new people?" And there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. I'm doing the best I can. So this time around, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do that again. The success will be we have fun together, we read the Bible together. That actually, individually, personally, as a group, we kind of grow a bit in maturity, and then out of that, the hope is that we grow. So it is a difficult one to navigate, that people's kind of expectations and what they're dreaming about as well.
Yeah.
Superb. You actually jumped in there brilliantly, Tim, before I actually directed that question to you as well. So well read. We have a final question that's come up. So if anyone's got anything else in this next 2 or 3 minutes, then please text or write in. But we'll go for this as the final one unless we have another question. Given the value of building church across many generations, and obviously believing that's how God wants us to be, obviously you talk very much about aiming at students and gathering students. Do you have a plan yet, or have you thought about how you might build in people from different generations?
Actually, no. I think what I learned is really to let God be the director, you know. So we are doing now this one step, and we doesn't think so much about the next step. Right now, it's just to get a little bit more structure, to build up new leaders, to build up a foundation, and I think, and I'm pretty sure about that. At this point, it's gonna come where we gonna have the first students, with little babies on them. We gonna think about okay, how can we deal with that? What's the best thing? So then we're gonna start to talk with the parents. What's gonna serve them for the best? But right now, we're actually not thinking about that.
And Tim, have you got any comments on that? Just because, yeah. Because
in terms of how do you bring in other generations? I mean, I'm the same as David. I'm just the 18s to kind of 35s crowd is I'm desperate for them to join the church and find Jesus, and I can't. I'm the same with David. I kind of build for that group, but I realise that that the church is a broad spectrum of generations, and actually, I really want people who are my parents' age to join, and so I pray for young people, and I pray a bit as well. Give me some people my parents' age. I kind of need that wisdom and that maturity. Actually, I mean, it's interesting what David just said about, we've got all these students at the moment. At some point, they'll start having kids or getting married, and actually, the wisdom and life experience that you need around you in your community when those different life stages start happening is just really important. I mean, we've got guys who are now like going for jobs and things like that, and being able to talk to, there's a few guys and ladies in our church who have been working in careers for 30 or 40 years, and for them just to be able to say, your boss will move on eventually, or just work hard in this rubbish job, the next one is slightly better. Actually, that is just so immensely valuable, that kind of wisdom. So we go after one generation and we pray that we get the other one to help us. That's always what I think.
Brilliant, really good bit of wisdom at the end there, Tim. Thank you. Well, we've actually run out of questions, which is superb, because I think we've given you tons tonight and heard masses from you. So that is just superb. So thank you, David. Thank you, Tim, for all that you've shared. Is there a final comment, David, that you wanted to make to people that are in a similar situation, church planting or thinking of church planting? Is there a final comment you want to say?
I would say what you don't have to forget in all these processes praying. Just select a few really good people which are going to support you in prayer. And if you have that, then you have a good foundation to start.
Superb. And certainly there's a couple of bits and bobs that we've heard from you that we can be praying for you about, definitely. So this is the end of the May broadcast. For those people that are joining us at the Catalyst Festival, I know it's not all of you, but if you are going, then please do drop into the church plant zone. You probably find myself, my husband, and a few other people, and we have some other people that are church planting that will be sharing their wisdom and sharing some of their stories. So please do take a look in and wait for the email from the lovely Tom O'Toole to tell you what's happening next. So watch this space. It's been lovely hanging out with you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone, and we'll see you soon.